Let's talk about this Google partnership. What exactly does it mean? Obviously, we know Google uses satellite data for so many things, from maps to Street View and beyond. How's Planet involved?
Well, historically, we've been powering their maps, and that's how your maps stay up to date. But this is a completely new partnership to enable our data and Google Cloud for our data, for our customers to easily process our huge amounts of data at scale, and basically get the benefits of our data and Google's cloud compute in one simple, easy location. It's a win-win-win, as I call it, because they get to sell their compute with our data, we get to sell our data with their compute, and our clients all get more value.
Now, there's so much competition in the satellite industry right now. What makes Planet stand out?
Well, there's a big renaissance in space, but I think it's largely misunderstood. So let me just say a couple of things. Firstly, the rockets are getting cheaper. Everyone knows about that piece of it, and they've brought down the cost by about 3 or 4x. The second thing is the satellites have changed in capability per kilogram a tremendous amount. I mean, about 1,000x. That's the biggest shift that's underpinning this. A miniaturization of electronics has enabled us to put more sensors up in space, producing more data sets, much more cost effectively. But then what that really brings it to is actually it's nothing to do with the rockets or the satellites. It's actually to do with data. It's about the transport and creation of new data sets that enable our economy to be smarter, more efficient, to be more sustainable, and so on. And also, it's not so much about Moon and Mars, even though that captures the attention and the billionaires going to space. It's actually about the Earth. These data sets have huge value. The transportation of data enables things like teleeducation, telemedicine. The creation of new data sets like our own at Planet is the enablement of things like efficient and sustainable agriculture practices, efficient monitoring of overfishing, stopping of illegal deforestation, the enabling of smarter decisions for finance companies and insurance companies and civil government and so on and so forth. So it's actually tightly connected with the Earth. But people think about the space piece. Actually, it's very connected with the Earth's economy, and it's booming the Earth's economy. It's helping the Earth's economy to undergo digital transformation and sustainability transformation.
Now, you've just signed a multi-year launch agreement with SpaceX. Know you've been a partner of theirs. What is the timeline? What is the arc of how this will play out?
Well, look, we launched with many launch providers, but we have been delighted to be partnering with SpaceX for many years now, have launched on 7 of their rockets, 80-something satellites. And this is a partnership that extends for the next 5 years, enabling really low cost, frequent access to space for our satellites. We've actually enabled launches, 4 launches a year on average for the last 5 years. So every 3 months or so, we're putting up the next generation of satellites. Again, what this then enables is us to produce better and better data sets. Just last year, we increased the amount of data being produced by our satellite about 5x over the previous year. I mean, so we're seeing for roughly the same cost, by the way. So the increase in data per dollar is going up really, really fast, and is already on the back of 1,000-fold increase in data rates. So Planet now images the whole planet of the Earth every day, or the landmass of the Earth. That's 100 times the nearest competitor, and over 10 times everyone else combined. So we're producing vast new data sets that have just never been possible prior to this because of these cost efficiencies.
Now, when I look at the night sky with my children, I'm often seeing satellites before I see stars, a very different experience than I had as a child. Do you have any concerns about the space around our planet getting too crowded?
I do. I actually think this is a serious concern we should be caring about the night sky. It is an incredibly human thing to look up and see the stars, and to have that interfered all the time with satellites is a big deal. Our satellites are very small, so you can't actually see them with a naked eye, so we're going to contribute to that. The bigger satellites do. They're very reflective. There are things that can be done. For example, a lot of the satellites recently are the SpaceX ones, the Starlink satellites, and they are trying to do some things that darken the size of the satellites so that they're less reflective, so that they're less onerous in the night sky. And certainly the astronomers are quite upset, because every time they're trying to take a long exposure with their telescopes, they're having a streak across their satellite, from a satellite across their field of view, which is really upsetting them right now. But also, as you say, for children who grow up now, we want them to be able to see a dark night sky Of course, satellites you'll only be able to see just after dusk and before dawn, for an hour or two. So another way to have a really dark sky is wait till the middle of the night. But I think we as satellite operators should be trying to ensure that kids all around the world can have a clean a night sky without too many satellites.
Meantime, Planet partners with governments, with institutions, with news agencies. You have a relationship also with the government of Afghanistan, providing data for climate and peace negotiations. Will that continue under the Taliban?
We provide our data to a lot of different players around the world. Well, of course, the Taliban is a restricted entity under US law. We cannot provide data to the Taliban. We have been working with the government of Afghanistan on detecting floods, and we've saved a lot of people's lives over the last year in Afghanistan. Unfortunately, this transition will not allow that particular effort to continue, but we will and are providing our data to a number of agencies like the UN, like NGOs, like news media, to shed light on what's going on, to assist in relief operations, to assist in the transportation of people out of the country right now, and so on, and the medicine and relief to any refugees. We have long-standing relationships with human rights organizations that will then subsequently be helping with those refugees. So we help governments with a wide variety of things. We help the Afghanistan government with that. We won't be working with the Taliban, no. But we will be continuing to work with the NGOs that are in and on the ground there to help with relief efforts.
Okay. Now, you're planning to go public this year via SPAC, $2.8 billion deal, potentially. How is this going to accelerate Planet's mission?
Well, look, we are really excited, firstly, to be going public. Planet is ready to go public. We're a scaled business, over 100 million in revenue last year. We have a scaled satellite fleet, over 200 satellites operating, as you mentioned at the beginning, the largest Earth imaging fleet in human history. But yes, we are also this mature business, and we felt it was the right time to go public. We evaluated the different options. We decided that the SPAC process was a good one, and we are, yes, indeed announcing that we're going public just a few weeks ago. And we're really excited about it, not just because we're ready, but also because the world is ready for Planet. I have to say there's been quite an acceleration of interest in our data, and that's because as the world exit out of COVID-induced recession, everyone's trying to boot into a sustainable economy, and our data systematically enables a sustainable economy. Because what do you do if you want to measure your environmental or ESG goals as a company? Well, you have to measure things like your supply chains, and that's actually this Google partnership. One of the focus areas is in sustainable supply chain management, and helping companies to measure and ensure that they're a sustainable source. What do you do as a country if you're trying to do sustainability? Well, you have to measure your emissions, where we recently launched Carbon Mapper, a series of satellites that will be able to measure point methane and CO2 emissions all around the world on a regular basis. And so we hope to help this sustainability transition.